Hi, I'm JC. I'm doing a presentation on evolution versus creation. I'll be going over six topics. First, I will start with what is evolution and what is a theory. I will then talk about evidence toward the young Earth. I will then provide proof against the Big Bang. After that, I will talk about fossil records. I will then talk about how everything points towards a creator. And finally, I will finish off with what creation is. What is evolution and what is a theory? Evolution is the theory that a single-celled organism evolved, becoming more sophisticated and stronger throughout the course of billions of years, and that we humans are the most evolved species. Evolutionists believe that we evolved from monkeys and that monkeys evolved from prosimians, and so on. The guy who came up with it was Charles Darwin. He came up with the theory of evolution in 1838, which is 184 years ago. Now, let's define what a theory is. A theory is a carefully thought out explanation of why something occurs. For example, gravity. Gravity is the theory on why, when we drop something, it falls to the ground. Evolution is the theory trying to explain how we came to be. So, one, um, there have been almost no faults found in gravity, yet there have been hundreds of flaws found in evolution. You'll see some later in this presentation. Two, when you talk about gravity, all of us have observed something falling to the ground, yet none of us have observed evolution. It's just faith-based. When you talk about flaws with evolution, evolutionists will most likely say it's just a theory, yet they are changing the definition of a scientific theory when they say that. Every time I've questioned one of my science teachers about evolution, I've been met with the same answer. It's just theory. But like I said above, they're changing the definition. They are saying it is just an idea, but it is taught as more than that. It is taught as fact. For example, just the other day in my math class, we were learning scientific notation and had to calculate how heavy the Earth is. And on the slide, it said the Earth is 4.543 billion years old, just leaving it there as fact. No room for debate whatsoever. But according to my science teachers, it's just a theory. But that's all I have for what is evolution, what is a theory. It's time to move on to my next topic. Sorry if I'm talking a bit fast. Let's move on to the young Earth and the Big Bang. According to the evolutionary theory, the universe is 4.6 billion years old. 4.543 to be precise. I am going to disprove that. Did you know that the sun shrinks 5 feet every hour? So 100,000 years ago, the sun would have been double the size that it is now, and the earth would have been too hot to live on. And 4.6 billion years ago, the sun would have filled up all the space in the entire known universe. Another reason the universe can't be 4.6 billion years old is because of the comet. A comet is a celestial object in space that, as it traverses through the galaxy, starts to disintegrate, which creates a tail behind it. This means that over 50 to 100,000 years, the comet will disappear completely. That means that comets are not 4.6 billion years old. The last reason today that the Earth is young is that there is minimal sediment on the seafloor. Every year, the water and wind erode about 20 billion tons of dirt and rock debris, and almost all of those 20 billion tons end up on the seafloor. Yet there is very little sediment there, only 1,500 feet. If the world were 4.6 billion years old, there would be 217,802 miles of sediment on the ocean floor. But that's all I have on the age of the Earth. Let's move on to the Big Bang. The universe began with every speck of its energy jammed into a very tiny point. This extremely dense point exploded with unimaginable force, creating matter and propelling it outward to make the billions of galaxies in our vast universe. According to Explorium.edu, that is the definition of the Big Bang. As scientists, we should also question where all the energy came from, but we're not going to do that today. We're going to talk about some other flaws with the Big Bang. In the definition, it talks about a very tiny point that all the energy was jammed into. Guess how small that point is? Smaller than a period on a paper. Another reason that the Big Bang cannot be true is that there are galaxies that spin in the opposite direction. I will put it to you in a picture because it is easier to understand. Let's say there are a couple 4-year-olds on a merry-go-round, and Tom Brady comes and spins it as fast as he can clockwise. When the kids go flying off, you'd expect all the kids to be spinning clockwise, because this is a law in physics called the conservation of angular momentum. Same thing with the Big Bang. The Big Bang is the merry-go-round, the galaxies are the children, and the force that made the Big Bang explode is Tom Brady. The only problem is that not all galaxies spin in the same direction. These are just some of my contentions with the Big Bang. But let's move on to my next piece of evidence. Let's cover fossil records. Paleontologists believe that the deeper the fossil is in the earth, the older it is, and the closer to the surface it is, the younger it is. There's a picture on the screen to help you make sense of that. According to evolution, spiders evolved 300 million years ago. I believe that is either during the Jurassic or Triassic epoch, so in like the green section. Yet we found a fossilized spiderweb in the Pennsylvanian or the Mississippian epoch in the blue section. Also, there are a bunch of fossils that still have organic material that is soft in them. This would not be the case if the world were 4.6 billion years old. All that would be hard by now. We also find human jewelry and pottery in the same layer as T. Rexes, and T. Rexes were supposedly extinct before humans even existed. The last point I'm going to make about fossils is that there is not a single fossil we've discovered that isn't a fully evolved creature we still have today or that we know went extinct. Every fossil we found is a fully formed fossil. There is no half prosimian, half monkey fossils, or half hippo, half whale. All the fossils we have today are fully evolved. So fossil records actually point away from evolution. Oh, sorry. Got distracted for a second. Now it's time to move on to the next topic, how we point toward a creator. I'm going to start with the complexity of the human brain. Evolution has a very hard time explaining the complexity of our brains. We think, reason, and speak unlike any other animal. Yet monkeys don't even think like us, yet we evolved from them. Here's a thought that will get your brain spinning. We think using language, otherwise we think in words. But we need to think to use or have words. So which came first, thought or language? Because you need both simultaneously. My final point against evolution is that evolution can't explain what morality is or why we need it. It can't tell us why no other animal has morality. The only reason we would need morality is if someone created us and we are being judged. The entire world has the same basic laws, and evolutionists can't explain how. Evolution says it's in our genetic code to know what is right and what is wrong, but that still doesn't explain how it got there or why it's there. Monkeys don't have morality in their genetic code, but it's in ours. How come wolves have the right to kill other wolves? And yet it is wrong for humans to kill other humans. We can't know what morality is and why we need it unless someone who is supernaturally in charge of us tells us. There is no point in morality if we cease to exist after we die. No one can know what is right and what is wrong without the help of God. All this says is that we don't need morality if we evolved, because if we evolved, we're just cosmic accidents. Yet if you ask anyone who believes in evolution why we need morality, they will most likely say order, or something along those lines. But they can't explain what order is, how it originated, or why we need it. They can't explain what morality is or what order is. Yet if you look to the Bible, it has an explanation for this. We are created in God's image, and we are made to rule over all the other animals, because the Bible says we are a little lower than the angels. Well, evolution says we are a little higher than the monkeys. You can choose which you prefer to be. When Moses stood in God's presence and God gave us the 10 basic laws that are still upheld around the entire world today, when we die, God will judge us. God told us what morality is and why we need it. He gave us morality to show us that we are not perfect and that we need a savior, something no one who believes in evolution can explain. I forgot to switch to the next slide. I'll give you a couple seconds to just look over that. I'll finish. I'll come back to it at the very end. My argument was that God created the world. I've given many, many arguments against evolution, yet I have not given the alternative. The alternative is that God created the world in 6 days. On day 1, God made light. On day 2, the sky and ocean. On day 3, he made land. On day 4, the sun, moon, stars. Day 5, he made the birds of the air and the fish of the sea. And on day 6, God made animals, and then he made mankind in his own image. One last cool fact that points toward God. If you break down the word universe, uni meaning single, and verse meaning spoken sentence, you get a single spoken sentence, which is exactly what God did when he created the universe. He said, "Let there be," and there was. How much more important are you if the creator of the universe had you in his mind before the universe even existed? Morality would be so much more important if people believed that everyone was made in the image of God and that we are fearfully and wonderfully made. I'll hop back to that last slide that we have time to go to look over those points that we don't forget. Um, but thank you for listening to my presentation on evolution versus creation. I have additional resources from Lee Strobel and Jason Lisle. I'll put in the description. If either of you ever see this, I want you to know that you are the reason I am here today presenting creation versus evolution. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments, and